You want to talk about Holdovers?
Yes, I do. Speaking of grimy 70s or whatever, I love the Holdovers is a movie. It stars what's his name?
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti. He's awesome in this, and it does have that grungy '70s aesthetic. I love when they start off with the old Universal logo and the like old '70s titles, and they even made like new '70s titles for some of these things.
Yeah, even having the titles in like the lower right hand corner on top of the film,
Yeah.
or
The
because
the the very extended intro, like the credits setting the scene of like the New England school there. It's very I don't know. It tucks you right in. It brings you right in.
so I didn't know much about the movie. I knew it was directed by Alexander Payne. I knew it was an Oscar contender. I knew that Paul Giamatti was in it, and he's just always wonderful. But and I liked a lot of other Alexander Payne movies. Sideways, Election, About Schmidt, Nebraska. What else? The Descendants, George Clooney, like Hawaii movie. They're all about kind of like rich winos, generally speaking. Except for Nebraska. That's not about rich people, but he does tend to do movies about rich people. I noticed.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one is about a New England boarding school for boys. Paul Giamatti plays a really stuffy, tough grader teacher. He flunks his class right before Christmas break, right when their families were all going to come pick them up. He says, "You're going to have to do a makeup test."
I can't fail this class.
Oh, don't sell yourself short, Mr. Coates. I truly believe that you can.
I'm supposed to go to Cornell.
Unlikely.
The headmaster slaps him for flunking these kids because their parents are donors.
I'm just trying to instill basic academic discipline. That's my job, isn't it yours?
It was. Until I became headmaster and saw that it's not so simple to keep the damn school afloat.
As punishment, he has to stay with some kids who are going to, catch up on studies during the break. So they're all kind of trapped together. So if you like kind of like an after hours kind of a feel, it's like, hey, we're all stuck here in the school. And the facade of like, I'm your teacher and you have to listen to me starts to decay in that environment, after 2 or 3 days. And one of the kids' rich parents shows up in a helicopter, takes all of them away to go skiing, except for one boy, this one really kind of abrasive, dick-headed kid, whose mom, had recently remarried. And anyway, he couldn't get her permission to leave. That's why he stayed.
I'm as disappointed as you are, if not more so. I could have been spending the rest of my vacation reading mystery novels.
So now we have, there was the lunch lady. She's going to be there at the boarding school during Christmas. And there's Paul Giamatti and the student. And the rest of the movie really is about Paul Giamatti teaching this kid how to be a man, while he himself, Giamatti's character, is pretty imperfect and has a lot of, kind of personal troubles of his own. He was fucked over by this school, we come to learn across time. He has a much more rebellious streak than we had originally thought. And it's a beautiful, gorgeously shot and just kind of beautifully handled. When I did Having Fun Up There, one of the film festival people said something really nice. They were like, "Oh, your movie has a really good sense of place." And I was like, this movie, The Holdovers, has a really nice sense of place. And when I found out, I was like, it's got a 70s aesthetic. It's got Paul Giamatti. It takes place during Christmas time. It's got Cat Stevens music. And it literally is in Boston, like where we went to school, EJ and I, like right there where we would have, where we have gone many, many times. I was like, how come somebody didn't recommend this movie to me urgently? It ticks all my boxes.
These were a gift to me, and I would like to share them with both of you. Look at them. Look at all the festive shapes. Snowflakes and gingerbread men, a tree, this little mitten.
Yeah, and the taking place over Christmas is definitely a huge vibe, and it's the interior sets or what are I'm sure they maybe even shot it at a similar school or the school. It's just I love that the boarding school kind of vibe is so cool, and and it's used to see a lot of movies like this, like,
Character studies.
character studies, and yeah, doesn't like blow your mind or anything. You've seen many of these similar types of stories before, but I don't know, when you put the aesthetic and the setting and the performances and everything, it's you find yourself thinking about it a lot, and it's a good hang. I feel good after watching it, even though it's like, it's kind of depressing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It stuck with me for sure. And I realized, I was like, that's kind of what I'm looking for with movies, is I want to be thinking about them. I want to return to YouTube a few hours later and watch what other people are saying about them. And I want to kind of live in the aura of that movie for 24 to 48 hours. I want to really like meditate on it for a bit if it's good.
You don't want to watch it at 1.5 speed on Disney Plus.
And flush it down the toilet when it's done. I want to cut my food and I want to chew my food, And this movie, yeah, I didn't know what to make of it at first. I didn't kind of know where it was going. I didn't know what it wanted to do. And so for maybe the first 25 minutes, I was like a little bit, I was like, I'm not sure I'm being like drawn in by this per se. And then as it kind of, revealed to me what it was trying to do, I was like, oh, I love this. And you're right. It's not super novel in any way. I will say that the 70s aesthetic, you could, if you haven't seen the movie, you might think like, oh, are they doing like a stylistic thing the whole movie that's distracting? And I would say, no, it really generally isn't. No. They shot it on digital, first of all, which I'm a little bit like, you probably should have just shot it on 35. I could tell that they shot it on digital, but the vintage lensing though sometimes people get a little bit too concerned about format. Lensing is extremely important, and it's something we almost never talk about when we're talking about cinematography. It's like it's the identity of the movie,
I thought they did a good job, even if it is digital, like capturing kind of like the 70s griminess, or like making it look organic with those lenses. I mean, that's the thing about having fun up there too. Has all those like old Russian lenses that Kyle used. Right. Gave it a good organic look combined with the the Canon RAW.
Yeah, it's like, if it's not the film stock that makes you feel like it's vintage, then what would be? And it's like, well, the color temperature, the lensing, and the shot composition, of course. And then the more stylistic things are like the titling. They had some film scratches at the beginning and like film scratch sounds. And then very occasionally they would do something very stylistic and it would delight me. The one that I'm thinking of is, he was like looking for Angus, one morning around Christmas time. And he bursts outside and he goes, Angus!
Oh yeah. It does the zoom, the reverse zoom.
Angus! Yeah. And it reverse zooms like really wide. That's so 70s. They do they do that all the time I don't know why they would do that. And like Midnight Cowboy and Annie Hall and like Harold and Maude, like they all did that for some reason.
That was good. And yeah, it's a delight to see Paul Giamatti just shoot. Like it's such a Paul Giamatti character too. You like using like verbose language and but you eat it up. You're like, I want to hear him talk. I want to hear him be full of himself. I want to hear him like come up with whatever his ailments are. Like he has long words for each of his like stinkiness and his sweaty palms and then
Trimethylaminoria means my body can't break down trimethylamine. That's the smell.
There's it's really wonderful, and the script is really wonderful, and I've you might hear people say like, it could have been trimmed a little. It was a little slow. It's like, I think you got to ask, like, do you really want to tighten a movie like this? Do you really want to make it tight as a drum? Like, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Like I said, you want to hang. It's you don't want to rush through it like the Marvels. You want to you want to hang.
And I guess I shouldn't spoil the ending for people, but there's like a couple of really emotional moments at the end, and in particular, much like a 70s movie. It doesn't kind of like, I don't know. I feel like older movies would end on with some kind of emphasis. There'd be some kind of, in Harold and Maude, it's like he drives his car off a cliff and then he plays his guitar and kind of walks off into the distance. And this movie has a very similar ending where it's like the character kind of does one final character moment and then credits. It ends on a really nice hit. And I like when movies do that as opposed to just kind of, run out of time or whatever. It's great. I loved it. It was a 2023 release that I didn't see until now. And now I'm like, yeah, that ranks up there in the top 5 or so, probably, for last year. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll probably count it for this year. That's what I do. Once it comes out on DVD, that's a new media. It's a new media.
They had it, they shot right on the Boston Common. They shot they would go to a movie at the Orpheum. There's this little book sale that I went to that book sale in like 2004. I remember with like some friends from my dorm. You know the one?
Yeah, I used to walk by it all the time. I used to go there. Yeah.
You want a cigarette, baby? Oh, I smoke pipe.
Oh, yeah. It's perfect. It's just like a perfect Paul Giamatti character.
Hey there, handsome. You got a cigarette?
Nope, sorry, I smoke a pipe.
How about a date then? You want a date?
No, thank you.
Do you remember he played did you ever see the movie Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen as the...
Yes. With the carrots.
Yes, the carrots. Giamatti is the villain. And he, whenever I impersonate him, I do one of two things. Either from that movie, I'm like, Mr. Superhero, Mr. Superhero.
Bravo, Mr. Hero, bravo.
Or from Fred Claus. He played Santa Claus. and he was talking to Kevin Spacey, of all people, around Christmas time, apropos. And he's talking about every Christmas you'd get that Superman cape. And that little boy had that Superman cape. It's my Paul Giamatti.
So you asked me for something. Superman cape. Because you thought that was gonna change everything.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, so you decide to stay four-eyed Clark?
Only because Clark Kent wore glasses.
Oh, but when he turned into Superman, he didn't need those darn glasses anymore, did he?
Yeah, go see it, man. This is if you could give a fuck about the Oscars, you could maybe pull for the. I mean, at this point, there's this movie, there's Killer Moon, there's Killers of the Flower Moon, there's Oppenheimer. I mean, that's almost enough to be like, all right, we got a year here.
There's Barbie.
There's Barbie.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.